Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And today I have Marty Elberg. This guy is known as the bucket list attorney. Bucket list attorney. We're going to find out what that means along with his life story and everything else. So do me a favor, if you would, share this out right now. Go ahead and share it out. And then stay with us. We're going to be right back and we're going to talk to Marty. And we are back. Let me bring Marty on. Marty, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you.
Appreciate you being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited. We're not going to talk about it yet, but I'm excited to hear about the bucket list attorney thing. I've seen a lot of attorneys. I know a lot of attorneys actually, and never heard of a bucket list attorney. So that's.
I think I'm the only one. I have it trademarked, so I better be the only one.
Oh, that's awesome. Or you'll sue them.
That's right.
So, Marty, this show is all about having a breakthrough in life. I started it probably from a very selfish perspective. I was stuck in life myself, and I knew that if I heard enough people tell their story about how they got unstuck or got through the crap, I would figure it out, and I did. And now today, this is all about your life story and teaching and telling people how you got unstuck and how they can get unstuck or go to greater levels in life. So why don't you start with telling everyone where you were born and raised?
Where I was born and raised. So I was born in Denver, Colorado, but I was raised in Iowa. So from like 4 on. Raised in Eagle Grove, Iowa, tiny little town. Did a lot of farm work, learned how to work hard, learned how to persevere through winters and summers and bug season.
and winter again. Winter. There's always winter. A second winter.
Yeah. Exactly. Just when you think it's gone, it comes right back.
You know, I grew up in a little tiny town as well in Ohio. Very similar to Iowa, shaped differently, but very similar, right?
Right.
And I've always said that I think kids 16, 17, maybe 15 should go out. Every one of them should be required to spend a summer on a farm, especially baling hay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You bale hay for, I don't know, just 1 week even. Like, you're going to have a completely different respect for life.
And I'll go one further. What made me study was, I'll try to say it the polite way, shoveling manure into a manure spreader.
Oh, yeah.
Usually don't say it that way, but
yeah,
I'm not sure about your audience, so I want to be respectful.
They're familiar with the word shit, so
shoveling shit with my brand new Star Wars overalls on, right?
Oh my!
Coming down my sleeves, and I just had this a look of disgust on my face, of course, as you should.
Yeah.
And my dad says, "Hey, you don't want to shovel shit all your life. Keep your nose in the books."
Amen.
And I did. And I swore that I would never have to do that if I'd never wanted to do it.
Right.
Yeah. So
well,
yes.
And I mean,
shoveling shit. You will learn how to study.
You probably wake up every now and then and think, boy, I could really go for a dose of shoveling some shit today. Like, what the
No,
never. No, nobody wants to do that.
Maybe a couple of bales of hay, but that's it. Yeah.
Even that. I've okay. Full transparency. I've baled hay one time in my life.
Oh, okay.
And it's a long story I won't get into, but it just the way that it worked out, we were trying to get the bales up out of the field before this storm hit, because we
Right.
know what happens. For those of you that don't know, just Google it. What happens to a barn when hay gets wet? So I go out and I literally was getting ready to go to the swimming pool at
Of
my
course you were.
apartment
Yeah,
complex.
that's the way to go.
So I had a tank top on, I had swimming trunk shorts on, and
Oh, and this is back in the day when it was short shorts, not these long
right,
shorts. Yeah. Short shorts.
exactly. And the farmer that was asked me to help him, he goes, "Hey, I got some overalls and stuff." I'm like, "Who wears overalls? I'm not a redneck. I ain't doing that." Oh my God. Hay will get in places on your body that you do not want hay in.
Mhm.
And it took weeks.
And it's not as soft as they make it look like on TV.
It's not. It is painful. It's painful. But anyway, we went off. I'm sorry. I took us off the track there
No,
for a
I
minute,
think that's perfectly on track. That is part of that was the beginning of my journey of learning
right?
this stuff.
Yeah, I mean that you definitely learn. I really think that we have a problem with work ethic in this country today, and morals and principles, and being, raised on a farm in the Midwest is a really good way to not go down that path. I
Yeah.
don't know. It instills something in you. So talk about when you were growing. I mean, did you get into the whole Iowa football thing in school? And
Yeah, so high school football, yeah, I played football,
okay,
and I was in a tiny little town. Like I said, I think we had 85 in our graduating class, so I was offense and defense.
yeah,
There was no sitting out. It was those hot summer nights, hot
yeah,
fall nights,
yeah, yeah.
playing double duty, and yeah, it was tough. But yeah, our town was not really a football town. Our town was a wrestling town.
Ah,
So Iowa wrestling, it used to be, I don't know, I think it's probably lost its crown, but wrestling capital of the United States. And Eagle Grove was a major force in wrestling when I grew up in the 80s.
wow.
We had so many state champions that went on to college. One of them coached at Iowa for several years. Um, and yeah, so yeah, it's been an interesting transition. So yes, I did play football. I did get into Iowa athletics, but I
Yeah,
wasn't like a superstar, and I was too small. I was 6'3", too small. When
six
I was
three.
only 180 though when I graduated from high school,
Wow.
so I was too small to play college ball. Where I went to the University of Northern Iowa, which is the
Okay.
third state school, and I thought I was going to walk on, but I went to practice one day just to watch. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not there yet. I'm actually bigger now than I was, like muscular wise. I lost a lot of fat weight, added a lot of muscle in the last couple of years. But yeah, I was tiny.
Here's a buddy of mine, Jackson Crisp. Jackson, how tall are you? I think he's 6'9". He played in the NFL as
Okay,
a lineman. He's awesome. He's a great guy.
he's a lineman. He's a
I
beast. Yeah.
last time I saw him, he was saying, I said, "Dude, don't make me whoop you." He goes, "Don't. I'm scared."
Right.
Yeah, he's 6'8". He's only 6'8".
Only 6'8". Yeah,
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 we could take him.
yeah, exactly. Just put
So
you on my shoulders. We got it.
right, right. He's at 135
Yeah,
pounds.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, right. So you graduate high school, you ended up going to college, and I know you became an attorney, but what made you what was your major in your undergrad?
Well, first started out as business administration.
Okay.
It ended up I hated accounting, and I had 2 more years of accounting to get through, and I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm not gonna do that." And then I
Wow.
found out about this amazing major called recreational studies.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So, and it actually is a management degree, so it's a management degree in recreational services. So they looked at the nonprofits, they looked at community rec, back in the day when I was in college, it was a lot of corporate rec, and that's really what I was looking at: corporate rec and cruise ship. So those were my little dream jobs. And then all of a
Wow.
sudden, corporate rec got booted because it got cut from the tax code, that it was not tax write-off anymore. So those things went away real fast.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what did you transition into?
No, I stayed in recreation. I finished
Oh,
with I was on a 10-year plan. So I
for a bachelor's degree.
for a bachelor's degree. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
awesome.
Van Wilder had nothing on me.
Right.
I did the
That's
10 year
awesome.
plan. So no, I did. I went to school for a couple years, did a study abroad program in London. Ended up that I absolutely loved traveling, and I knew I did because I'd been to California a couple times to see my uncle.
Yeah.
Um, did the study abroad program to London, came back to Iowa, and I was like, oh God, I got to get out of here. So I finished my ROTC and got my commission, and then I moved to California. So
So you were in the military
yeah, yeah, I was 3 days after graduating high school, I was in basic training. I was in the
for
reserves for 8
which
years.
branch?
Army.
Okay. Well, thank you for your service.
You're welcome. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So you were ROTC, you got commissioned as, what is that, second
Second
lieutenant?
lieutenant, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's pretty cool. So how did that go? And that was 80 what? 80.
89, I believe, is when I got my commission. So I graduated high school 86, basic training. Then I did
Wow.
my enlisted training the next summer as well, and then I started ROTC, got my commission. So I was the best of both worlds, really. When you're enlisted and become an officer,
Yeah.
it's way better. I
That's
think it's
awesome.
better. So
Yeah.
um,
We're the same age.
yeah,
We're the same
I thought so.
exact age.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
read your bio, and yeah, thought so.
Yeah. So you decided that
California is the
being
place
an
I ought to
officer.
be. Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be better, right? I actually went in. I did I sign or did I don't remember. My best friend and I were going to go into the Army on the buddy system,
Uh-huh.
and I backed out at the last minute, and he didn't. He was pissed. So yeah, we're no longer best friends. But
Oh,
anyway, so yeah, that's crazy. So you said you went to boot camp, and then where did things go from there for you?
well, I went to boot camp, then I went to college, and
Okay.
was there for a couple of years. Then I did my study abroad program and said I was really not for me anymore, because
Yeah.
I've lived in London and I traveled all around Europe, and
Yeah.
I was like, all right, let me explore bigger territories.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
I'm
then I didn't graduate at that time, so I went, took some time off, took a hiatus, let's just call it,
yeah.
and went to California to pursue life in California, see what I
Okay.
could stir up.
What
So
part?
LA.
Okay.
Oh, well, I initially moved to like Laguna Beach, but then
Yeah.
eventually ended up in LA,
Okay.
the LA area, I guess.
And when did you finish college?
In 96. So that was the 10-year plan. So I
Oh,
took a
wow.
few years off, went back, and
That's got to be tough.
it was, but it was also tough finding a real job without a degree.
Mm,
No problem finding a waiter job. So I was a waiter and bartender for years, and
yeah.
paid the expenses, paid the bills, made a couple
And
movies. Did all that California, LA stuff. So
yeah. So you did so you finished your bachelor's degree. At what point did you decide to go to law school, and where was that?
that was this story gets a little rough if I say it the way I usually do. I had a terrible divorce. So
Oh,
I had a terrible divorce. And then 2000, the divorce was final, and it was all right up until that point. But then it got bad, and there were custody issues. And judge would give me time, and my ex-wife would go back and try to get more. Judge would give me more time. It was difficult. Long story short, we get along great now. 23 years later, we get along great. We co-parent like no other to a 28-year-old. So we do awesome now. But it was bad enough. I was in court enough, and I paid my attorney enough that I said, this law school thing might be this lawyer thing might be a good thing. And my current wife, who I was just dating at the time that we were talking about this, encouraged me to go to law school. So I did. I went to Cal Western in California Western School of Law in San Diego.
Wow.
And I was living there at the time. Prior to that, I got laid off. The tech bubble burst in 2001, and I was managing a technical recruiting office. So we had 8 recruiters, and boom, it was crickets. And then 9/11 happened, and not even crickets, just zero anything. And they came and closed my office and half the other ones across the country. And I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
It was brutal going to work every day, making calls with nobody answering. So
yeah, that's a tough racket. I've been there. So you in Sandy, I just spoke in an event in Carlsbad. My first time there, and I was like, oh my God, it's beautiful. I could never live in California, but it was beautiful.
Yep. Absolutely.
So you went to law school in San Diego, and you get out of, I'm assuming you graduated
in 2006. So it was 10-year plan. So,
right.
6 high school, 96 bachelor's, 2006.
Yeah.
So I was 35 when I went to law school. So
wow.
I was the old guy in school.
And then how old were you when you graduated law school?
38.
Okay.
37, then to turn 38 right after that. So yeah.
So you took the California bar.
I did, and it's really sore spot in my life. I did not pass, but I didn't have to because I was moving to Iowa. We had figured out our custody issues by then, and planned to move to Iowa. My current wife, who was my wife at the time I graduated from law school, had already moved back to Iowa with her kids, and so we were planning on living in Iowa, but I had to take the California bar because I got a scholarship. I got a diversity scholarship because I had a melded family. So I was able to get that. And in order to keep that scholarship, I had to take the California bar, which meant months of torture studying. It's the hardest bar in the country. I don't know if
heard that,
it is, but it used to be. I think it was about a 45% pass rate when I took it. And I had 3 readings, which means you get an extra point here, you get an extra point here. And then I think I was about 2 points out of 1,600 to not pass it. So that means like less than a full percent, like a 0.5% of one more multiple choice question, and I would have passed.
Wow.
So yeah, it's not that I was ever going to practice there, but I've never failed a test in my life. So, hey.
Did you retake it?
No, God, no. Absolutely not.
I've heard that it's a tough one. I've heard
it. Yeah, no, I wasn't. I was never intended on practicing there because I was moving to Iowa.
Right.
Back to Iowa, and to get the kids through middle school and high school, and be with our families.
But you took the bar in Iowa.
I took the bar in Iowa,
and you passed.
Too easy. I was like, I must have missed something on this test because
right.
There was only one sentence answer.
Right.
That's all they were asking for. California bar, it's 2 pages.
That's crazy.
You just keep writing and making stuff up because that's
that's crazy. So you go back to Iowa, you pass the bar, you become an attorney. And did you go open your own practice? Did you go to work for a firm? What did you do?
So I when I was studying for the bar, when I first moved there, I worked at the clerk's office.
Yeah.
So the Wright County clerk of court, I was the clerk's office, and I got to know some of the attorneys, I got to know the judges, got to know the clerk's office. So I asked them, hey, are you hiring? Are you going to be hiring? Are you going to be hiring? And they're like, no, we don't have enough business to hire anybody. So, I thought, well, then I guess I'll be opening my own place. And there was another attorney that started about 6 months before I did. And we talked about opening a practice together. And then we ran some numbers and said, well, if you get a divorce case and I can't get the other one, then it's not going to be economically efficient or profitable because we'll conflict out of half of that case. And the rent in Eagle Grove, Iowa for a building was,
Yeah.
you figured $300 a month. A case that pays 3,000, it's not, it doesn't make sense. So we still collaborated on a lot of things and taught each other what we didn't know and what we didn't, or what she didn't know, or what I didn't know. We would collaborate, and it worked out great. But it worked out so much better that we were not sharing offices because we had probably a case a month against each other. So it was one of those interesting setups we had. It was kind of like on TV where you see the attorneys fight in court and then they go out to lunch together. That's just kind of how we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. So I don't know how. I honestly don't know how. I take things too personal. I have no idea how attorneys do it.
Yeah, some attorneys, there's no way I would even say hi to them outside the courtroom because they are so nasty, and they're nasty outside the courtroom. Like even when they call you, they're blah, 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 blah. Which is why I don't do family law anymore. I went to law school for family law. I don't do family law anymore. Well, because of my situation, my personal situation. That's why I went to law school, and I just decided that was not for me. So 5 years ago, I stopped doing family law, and it's been fantastic.
Do you still practice law though?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep. So 10 years ago, so I don't know where you want me to jump around, but we were in.
What's your specialty?
Yeah. So estate planning and probate. Bucket list attorney. Everybody should have an estate plan on your bucket list. You should be making sure you're leaving a legacy behind, not a mess.
Yeah.
And that's where the bucket list attorney comes in, as well as being a bucket list coach.
That's awesome. So talk about and are you still in Iowa? Oh no.
No. Moved to Florida 10 years ago. So I had to take the Florida bar.
It's not reciprocal. It's not a reciprocal.
Florida and California and New York. I don't think New York has any reciprocity with any other state because there are enough of us here. We don't want anybody to just come in.
Yeah. Wow.
They talked about it about 2 years after I got here. I was like, no way. I had to take the bar. You take the bar.
Right. Is it harder in Florida?
It is really hard. So New York, California, and Florida are the hardest. And I'd say Florida was just a little bit easier than California. I studied for it just like I studied for the California bar. So I did pass right away. So it was.
Debbie has her own show. And you should be on her show. She's freaking awesome. She asks a question: what is on your bucket list that you plan to check off the list next?
The list next. Okay, so I just got back from my trip to Italy, so that was on my bucket list. So just got back a little over a week and a half ago. What's on next is to spend at least a week or two in probably Colombia. I've been doing Duolingo for, I would have to check it, 545 days now, I think.
Wow.
Plus about 70 before I went on a 3-day fishing trip that was also on my bucket list, which was 540 days ago. Wow. So live in South America, or stay in South America for a couple weeks and work while I'm there, and just get more fluent in Spanish.
Yeah.
On the Italy trip, my friend's girlfriend came along, and she's from Colombia. She doesn't speak much English, and I don't speak fantastic Spanish because I'm Duolingo. That's it.
Yeah.
And high school Spanish, of course.
Yeah.
Like everybody.
I know how to say "que pasa."
Right. So we were teaching each other, so it was really good, and I felt so much more comfortable with the Spanish speaking to her than I do right now thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I think that immersion of, hey, I'm here. Let's just try to speak as much Spanish as possible.
That's awesome.
That's on the bucket list. I don't have an exact date, just like I said, because I just got back from Italy, so we're kind of still recovering from that.
That's
And,
awesome, though.
yeah, but it's not just travel that's on my bucket list. Driving the Speedway, Daytona Speedway.
Yeah.
They've got a NASCAR experience up there.
Yep.
So that's definitely on there in the next 6 months.
That's awesome. Love that.
I'm in Broward County, so I don't necessarily need Spanish in Florida. If I were in Miami, absolutely.
Yeah.
You just said you need Spanish in Florida.
Yeah. So if you, well, I'm in Dallas, so it's, yes, there's a lot of Spanish speaking folk over here for sure. But so you, I want to talk about, like, you were in Iowa, you passed the bar, you started practice, starting a business, it's not easy. You start a business and you hang your shingle, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
I had a nice sign outside a building that I bought.
Yeah.
Because
the building, you bought the building?
Cheaper to buy a building in Eagle Grove, Iowa than it was to rent at the time.
Oh, got it.
So for $17,000, I bought a 3,000 square foot building. I used half, and people kept asking me if they could rent the other half. And I was like, no, I'll expand eventually. And within 2 months, I was busy enough to hire an assistant.
Wow.
So I literally just put my sign out there that said Elberg Law Office, and I grew up in that town. My parents were still in that town. My uncles, cousins were still in that town.
Right.
And people would just open the door and say, hey, welcome back.
And
can you do this for me? I said, yep. Can you do this for me? Yep.
So I'm here to get a divorce from Myrtle. Can you help me?
Absolutely, I can help you.
But then you decided to move to Florida.
Yeah. After spending a few winters in Iowa, again, it reminded me that, we really wanted to get our kids through middle school and high school. So my son was the youngest. And so when he got to high school, we had a 4-year plan. And we're like, hey, as soon as you graduate, we're out of here.
Yeah.
So
did they follow you to Florida?
He actually is. Yeah, my son is in Florida. My wife's son is still in Iowa.
Yeah.
And my mom is still there as well. So yeah, we grew up in the same small town.
Yeah.
We just reconnected at our 15-year class reunion, and
sparks flew, and
the
rest is history.
Exactly. So yeah, my son did 5 years in the Navy after he graduated high school.
Okay.
And then ended up coming to Florida, and he went to film school for 3 years, graduated, and now he's got an awesome job at a construction company handling their digital media.
That's awesome. So it was just the winters, and
winters, and we come to Florida a couple times for vacation to go on a cruise, and we both fell in love with it. We're like, this is amazing, and I loved Southern California, but again, I'm not taking the California bar again, and I didn't really want to live in California again. I decided I wanted to try Florida, see what Florida was like.
I hear you. So you go to Florida. You shut down your practice in Iowa.
Yeah, I sold it to my associate. So about a year after I started it, somebody came, just like I came to town, brand new. It was like, hey, do you have a job? And one of the judges suggested she call me, and she did, and we hit it off. And I said, I guess we can probably figure out how to make enough money to make this work, and we did.
Wow.
And so when I was getting ready to leave, we were transitioning out from me to her being the owner, and so she basically bought my practice. So
now, was she an employee of yours or of counsel?
Yeah, she was an employee, so an associate attorney. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And she bought me out, and I moved to Florida.
Okay, so you moved to Florida, and you're like, I'm going to Florida, taking the bar, and I'm going to practice law in Florida.
Well, I passed the bar before we moved to Florida.
Okay.
Had
Okay.
I not passed the bar, we probably would have gone to Mississippi, to the Gulf Coast of Mississippi,
Oh yeah.
to
That's
like
beautiful.
Biloxi area, Long
Beautiful there.
Beach. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
My wife's cousins live there, so
Yeah.
and
It's nice.
Iowa has reciprocity with Mississippi, so
Ah, there you go. Yeah. I
it's
got
got a
you.
backup.
Yeah.
We knew we were not going to be in Iowa.
Either that or Alabama. No, I'm kidding.
Gulf Shores,
Yeah.
Alabama is all right
It's
too.
so beautiful. It's so nice.
Yep.
So y- you're starting over though in Florida,
Yeah,
like,
starting from scratch.
and
Absolutely.
that's
Moved
the
my
part
first-
that people don't understand. I mean, that's not easy to do.
No, it was not.
It's not a small town where everybody knows your name.
It is not, and it is a town that there are more than 4 attorneys, and not half of those 4 are retiring, so they're
Right.
not really taking cases. So,
Right.
yeah.
What was that like? So talk about that. When you get to Florida, now you're starting over a whole
Yep.
new business.
So after sending out probably over 100 resumes, applying to over 100 jobs
Yeah.
at law firms, I had 6, 7 solid years of experience, and not getting one response, even after I follow up with them, because I did have some sales training. So I followed up with a lot of them, whether it was emails or phone calls, and not a single email returned, not a single phone call returned,
Wow.
not a single, hey, thanks for sending oh, I did get a couple of those. Thanks for sending your resume. Not at this time. Thanks for interest. We're not interested.
Right.
After that, I was like, all right, I guess I'm starting my own thing again. So that's what I did.
Wow.
Just dug in and went to every networking thing I could possibly find or possibly fit into my schedule. And I hated networking when I first got here. I hated it.
Yeah.
The idea of networking in Iowa was you go out and play golf and, get introduced to 3 or 4 people, and they go, oh, hey, I need a will. Oh, hey, I
Yeah.
need a divorce. Oh, hey, I just got arrested for drunk driving last night. Can you help me?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you
Right.
pick up 3 clients just golfing.
Right. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
it. Not quite so. It didn't work quite so well here. I
Right.
tried it. I went golfing, by myself as a single, and got paired up with people, but no, it didn't take. It's the long game here.
Yeah. So what? How did it take off for you?
Yeah, it did for a bit. My friend that was here, that I knew, we ended up staying with him for a little bit, couple little issues with trying to buy a condo in 2013, as you could maybe imagine if you remember that housing crisis that
I remember very
preceded
well.
that. Trying to get a loan to buy a condo in Florida was almost impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back then.
Especially if you own a business.
Yeah, and yeah, I didn't have an income. My wife just got here, just found a job, and so there was no income, income history. So it was tough, even with 20% down. And they're like, "Well, if you come up with an extra 5%," I'm like, "Oh yeah, let me just reach around and pull that right out of
thin air." Yeah. So you struggled through, and that's
So my friend was working for a couple other attorneys, and he was handling their marketing. So he had this strategy of sending mailers out for divorces.
Yeah.
The attorneys do it for tickets, they do it for criminal charges, they do it for like bankruptcies, they do it for a lot of other areas, but they were not doing it for family law. So we would send out 100 mailers. I would get probably 6 or 7 phone calls. I would get 2 or 3 clients out of that. Unbelievably high rates of return for mailers, and it was a great way to get business. Wasn't the best business that I could do, but it was the only business I could do, because trying to do estate planning, people are like, oh yeah, I've been wanting to do that for a couple of years, and then a year later, hey, I'm ready to do that. So there's no urgency built into estate planning.
Right.
There is a little bit in probate, but even that is like, oh well, we can wait a while. Family law, hey, you've been served, so you need to file a response within 20 days. And that was urgency. So we were able to build a client base that way, and then just grew from there.
In Florida,
in Fort Lauderdale. Yep.
So you got back into family law.
Yeah. Well, I was always in family law.
Oh, I thought, okay, I
Yeah,
thought you
so
left.
in Iowa, it was family crime. Tiny little town, you pretty much had to do everything. They call it door law. Anything that comes in the door, we can do it. That's why I said somebody would walk in the door and say, "Hey, can you do this?" I say, "Yeah, of course."
Right, right,
There
right.
were a couple things I did. Like I didn't do bankruptcy. I didn't do taxes. I didn't do. That was probably it. So I did a lot of real estate. I did a lot of criminal law. I did a lot of family law. I did a lot of estate planning, some probate, personal injury, even in workers' comp, and that was amazing. And
Yeah,
then come to Florida, and it's like, okay, now I have to choose one, and I hate family law because I was already at the point where I hated family law.
yeah, right.
Um, but I had to pay the bills. Had to get that business up and going. So
Yeah,
sometimes you just gotta dig in and scoop that shit.
yeah, that's
That's
right.
what
That's
family
right.
law was.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So what year was that when you moved to Florida? When was
that
that?
was 2013.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You were
10 years
talking
ago,
about the
almost
condo.
exactly 10 years ago.
Wow. And so I'm assuming your practice is doing well
It's
now.
doing quite well now. Yeah,
Yeah. And you,
it definitely had its roller coaster moments, and yeah,
sure. It's called owning a business.
yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. So talk about where there had to, I would imagine there had to have been a moment where you decided to become the bucket list attorney. What is that all about? What was the moment? What was the pivotal point that made you go, I wanted to be the bucket list attorney?
All right, yeah. So it was really, it's probably about a year before I stopped doing family law. That I was like, yes, I hit my revenue goal, right? So, oh wow, I've been working this
Right.
hard to make this much money, and
Yep.
I finally hit it, and it was miserable. I was just absolutely miserable. I had a full head. No, I did not have a full head of hair, but
Uh,
had I
right.
had a full head of hair, I would have pulled it out.
Right.
I just hated family law. I hated dealing with the clients. I hated dealing with the opposing counsel. I hated dealing with the judges, and I just knew I had to change something. So I went to a business conference, and one of the speakers was the bucket list guy, and he talked about how to have a bucket list to re-energize your life and bring more meaning, purpose, and satisfaction in life. And I just started head full in. I was like, I'm in. I bought all the way in. I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. So I created a bucket list for myself, and I started doing things for me, not necessarily just travel. One of the things we did was a trip, but it was fitness, it was health, it was working on relationships, just working on yourself, and really just doing things that made me feel good, you feel good.
Right.
And, so I just stuck with that. And about a year after now probably about 6 months after I just dove headfirst into bucket list life, I stopped doing family law. My associate, she was like, I hate family law.
Wow.
And I'm like, all right. And she went on to do her own thing. We're still great friends. And I said, okay, if I don't take family law cases, that's going to chop off more than half my revenue. Okay. But I don't have an associate. And if I don't have an associate, I don't take family law, I don't need an assistant. So get rid of the assistant. Now I don't have an associate, I don't have an assistant, I don't need an office. I can work from home. There are other attorneys that work remote, and
Yeah.
I just was like, that would be amazing to work
Yeah.
remote. If I don't have an office, I can live by the beach because I can now put some of that money
Right.
into
Yeah.
a condo on the beach, right?
Yeah.
So that was the transition right there. So I started living my bucket list life to the fullest. Stopped taking family law cases. That phone call that I still remember. It. Hi, I'm looking for a divorce attorney. I'm sorry, I don't do that anymore. And it was hard because that was money. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
refer it out. So yeah, but it's been 5 years now. So I always say I'm a recovering family law attorney. I haven't had a family law case in 5 years, 3 months, and 2 days.
That's awesome, dude. So 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 you do probate and
And estate planning. Yep.
Okay.
So trusts, wills, trusts.
Yeah.
Try to stay away from wills, but trusts to avoid probate. That's the whole point of estate planning, is to avoid that whole nasty court probate situation. Not that it always is
Talk about
nasty.
that for
Yeah,
people that don't know. For people that don't know what you're talking about, what is
yeah,
the downside of the probate thing?
yeah. So let's just take you through a life scenario. Let's just imagine you have a nice, happy family, and a lot of people aren't married now. So let's just say the wife owns the house, has a kid. The not the wife, but the girlfriend owns a house, has a kid. The non-spouse lives in the house, right?
Yeah.
Well, the, they're young, so they don't get a plan. They're like, we're too young to worry about that. That's what old people do.
Yeah.
So they don't get a plan. Well, the state has a plan for you if you don't have one. So let's just say the mom dies. They leave a 6-year-old kid and the boyfriend. Well, the boyfriend's living in the house because they shared the expenses. It's just
Right.
wasn't on the deed. Well, that house goes to the kid, not to the boyfriend, if there's nothing in writing.
Wow.
And actually, Florida homestead laws say that the house goes to the kid, but we can fix that a little bit inside of a trust. So a trust avoids the probate process. So the worst part of that whole thing is, besides the house going to the kid, now dad has to go to find an attorney, and as lovely and fun and nice as I am to talk to, you don't want to talk to me when your loved one just died, just so you
No.
can get your finances straight.
Yeah.
So now they have to talk to me. We have to go to court. I have to give them the bad news that it's going to cost several $1,000s. It's going to probably take 6 to 12 months. And by the way, you're going to have to get a guardianship over the kid's money, because now the kid has assets and kids can't have assets. So now you're going to have to be involved in the court system every year until that kid turns 18,
Wow.
just to have control over the finances for that child. Now, here's the bad news: you don't even get any of that house. So if you ever need to sell it, it's got to go in the kid's name. You got to get court approval. Blah 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 blah. The bank accounts that she had also go to the kid. It's a mess, absolute
Wow.
mess. And we can fix that with a trust. We can fix that with a trust because the assets remain inside the trust. If she's got bank accounts, life insurance, that money can go to the trust. It can be set up for the dad. It can be set up for the kid, for the kid's life. And the dad doesn't have to go to court every month or every so often to do whatever he needs to do to take care of the kid with the finances, because the money is in the trust. Think of it as a
Right.
bucket. I oversimplify it. Just think of a trust as a bucket. Put all your things in the bucket: your house, your bank accounts, your brokerage accounts, even your IRA can get directed to the bucket, and then you can disperse it through IRA laws. It creates a little separate little trust inside there.
Wow.
And there's no going to court, and it's fantastic.
So, wow. Okay. Who controls the bucket? The trust.
You probably the dad in this situation, but whoever you choose. So if you've got a loved one that you want to do it, you appoint your spouse, you appoint your sister, your mother, your best friend, some financial advisors can do it depending on their company. But usually it's a family member or a very close friend, somebody you trust,
Okay.
with finances. And of
Wow.
course, they can get help from other financial advisors, from tax people,
Right.
from whoever they need to. But the cost of administering a trust is a fraction of what it is to do probate. And it's not as painful because it's immediate and it's private. The trust is private, doesn't go to public. So let's just say little Johnny was going to get $1 million, and it goes through the court system. Well, now anybody can go to the court and find out that little Johnny got $1 million, and now they can say, "Hey, you want to buy a Lamborghini? Hey, you want to buy a
Right.
Rolex?" So
Right. Right.
it's
It stays
bad news.
private.
Yeah.
And then eventually little Johnny gets money, or however the trust is set up.
Yeah, yeah. So the trust is set up. I usually, of course, I'm going to give options to clients because they don't know. So money is always going to be there for the health, education, maintenance, and support
Right.
for that child until that child reaches a certain age. Usually I like to say like 25, 30, and 35. And I
Yeah.
always give my kids as an example. I could probably use myself as an example.
Yeah.
At 25, had I got money, that money would probably not be used in the wisest ways.
Right.
25, so you get a third
Yeah.
of whatever's in your bucket at 25. Go have fun. Go explore
Right.
whatever you want to do. At
Right.
30, you get another third, so half of whatever's left inside the bucket. And then
Yeah.
at 35, you get the rest.
Yeah.
And hopefully by the time you're 35, you've learned that, oh, I wasted it at 25. I did okay at 30. At 35, I'm going to make it work for me.
Yeah.
So that's why I do those stages. And if I use my own kids, my stepson, at 25, yeah, I don't know how much money that would be left. At 30,
Right.
he already had a kid, had another one coming on the way. So that money would have been at 30, boom, for the family. 35, he's already got 2 kids now.
Right.
He's 32 now. So at 35, he would be, taking care of the family.
Right.
So that's why I like that staggered. Give them an opportunity to learn as they get older,
Yeah.
instead of just giving it all at the same time. Now, little Johnny that didn't have a trust set up, and the dad had to go to court and get the guardianship at age 18. If there's $700,000 left in that account for that kid, here you go. Here's $700,000. Go for it.
At
Have
18.
fun. At 18,
Wow.
go have a
Yikes.
party. Yeah.
I mean, some 18-year-olds might do well, but
Oh, absolutely. 1 out of 1,000, maybe.
yeah, right. Right. Wow, that's crazy. How do you I mean, I see it like life insurance. Like it's got to be you've got some unspoken barriers in your way. People don't like to plan for death. They like to
They
plan
don't like
for
talking
life.
about death. They don't.
Yeah.
Nobody does. Nobody wants to bring it up. Nobody wants to talk about it.
I
do.
talk about it
I
all
don't
the
mind it.
time.
I just say I deal in death. I'm the attorney of death. I'm a bucket
Yeah.
list attorney. Bucket
Yeah.
list, kick the bucket, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I love that, man. I think, I say it all the time. You're not getting out of here alive. Like nobody.
Nobody.
There's not one single person ever born on this planet that didn't die
Or that won't die.
or
Yeah,
that won't die.
Yeah.
Right.
exactly.
So when when do people come to you when they are like, okay, I'm getting older, or do you see younger people coming in now? Or
Yeah. So my focus is really that young couple, that
oh,
younger, I guess,
yeah.
35 to 50.
Yep.
They've got little kids at home. Kids in their
54 is still young.
Yeah, exactly. 54 is still young. 55 is young.
It is.
55 is the new 25,
It
right?
is.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen. That's right.
But that's really my target. I
Okay.
love working with them because it's just educating them on that little scenario that I gave you.
Yeah.
They have that in the back of their mind. They know that they need to make a plan. They just don't know who they need to talk to. I never wear a suit. This is me dressing up, by the way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm approachable. I try to be nice, and I really think I really take it to heart. Like if I don't make somebody laugh during our conversation, talking about death and dismemberment and all this bad crap that can happen to you,
Yeah.
then I haven't done my job, and you're not going to feel comfortable enough to go forward with the plan.
Yeah.
So just having fun with it, and understanding that people are not comfortable, and making them comfortable talking about death,
Yeah.
or a disability, Alzheimer's, getting a leg chopped off, something, all this fun stuff that we talk about. It's part of life. It's the only part that's guaranteed in life is you're going to die. People say death and taxes are the only guarantees in life. I know lots of people that don't pay taxes. So
Right. Right. Yeah. So, but you said was it 5 years ago you were at a business conference and you heard the bucket list guy?
yeah.
What conference was that, and who was the bucket list guy?
Yeah, so it was BizX, so action coach. So I had a business coach. So one of my revelations back when I started this 10 years ago, and
Yeah.
I was like just wavering on almost giving up and going to
Yeah.
live in a van down by the river or the ocean, since we're
Right.
at least we're in the ocean. I was seriously considering throwing in the towel and just doing something else. And one of the first people I met here was is a business coach, Juan Ortega. Love him to death. With Action Coach, and I couldn't afford to hire him when I first moved here, and I couldn't afford to hire him when I actually hired him. But had I not, I don't have a clue where I would have been. But anyway,
Mm.
Action Coach,
Yep.
and just continued to have him be my coach and work through marketing, sales, messaging,
Yeah.
target market, all of that. Had it not been for, like I said, I don't know where I would have been. But Action Coach has a business conference every year,
Yep.
and I went to a few of them, and one of the speakers was Trav Bell, the bucket list guy,
That's
and
awesome.
he's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so you're now the bucket list attorney, but you said I'm also a bucket list coach. What does that mean? I'm a coach. What does that mean? Like
Yeah.
you
So it's Trav puts it as being a tangible life coach.
okay.
So a lot of life coaches talk about your feelings and how do you see things, and
Yeah.
I talk about, okay, what do you want to do? And I go
Right.
through my bucket list roadmap. We talk about relationships, we talk about community involvement, we talk about exercise, getting unplugged, a lot of different things. So
Yeah.
it's 10 different categories that'll cover pretty much all of your personal, professional, financial, and community goals.
Right.
What do you want to do to be more fulfilled? And then we work on doing those things, actually putting the action in. We can hope, 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 dream, 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 but without some positive action, we're not getting anywhere.
Nope.
Positive thoughts, positive action, positive results.
Amen.
So
I love that.
that's what I work on.
So you help people build a bucket list.
Yeah.
How many
Build and do
people?
it.
How
Build
many people
and do it.
do what?
Build and take action on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many people out of 100 that you meet, new people out of 100, already have a bucket list?
Uh, so there's a couple ways to look at it. Do you have a bucket list? Yeah. Okay. Do you have it written down? No. All right. Does it include anything else except for travel? No. So probably 2 or 3 out of 100
Right.
have it written down, and it includes more than just travel.
Right. That's
Like
awesome.
even the bucket list movie, they didn't just have travel stuff on there. They had some really cool stuff on there.
They
So
did. I agree. I agree. So, where and you wrote a book.
I did.
Do you have a copy of it? I'm gonna give you full screen, show everybody.
All right. There you
Live
go.
your bucket list life now. A roadmap to happiness starting with 6 minutes a day. Talk about the 6 minutes a day. What's that mean?
I'm an attorney. 6 minutes is a billing increment, 1/10 of an hour. So when we're talking to attorneys, they know exactly what that means. And a lot of attorneys say, I don't have time. I don't have time. Oh, I bet you can find 6 minutes. You can find 6 minutes to do something. My Duolingo lessons take about 6 minutes every day. And I've found time to do them.
Wow.
So you can be creative on where you where you do your Duolingo.
Wow.
I'll just leave it at that. But 6 minutes working on something like intensely, you can get a lot done. And we know that as attorneys because we bill in 6 minute increments. I've worked on. I don't do hourly billing anymore. I do flat fees. My life is so much better and so much
Yeah.
than billing billable hours. But attorneys know, okay, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to work on this client's case for a half an hour, and they know they can knock out a lot of information, a lot of work in 6 minute increments.
Yeah.
So that's why I said the 6 minutes.
Love that.
Because they say, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time.
They don't have time to what? Make their
I don't have
bucket
time
list.
to do anything for me. I don't
Oh,
have time to enjoy life. I don't have time to, go out and have fun. I don't have time to plan to have fun, or it's
Yeah.
it's just a mindset they get trapped in, and so many attorneys are just miserable and can't find a way out of it. And I'm trying to help them, get out of that downward spiral.
Is your focus only on attorneys?
It's not only on attorneys, but again, we'll do all that marketing, and we niche down. So
Yeah.
if I'm talking to an attorney and another business owner says, "Oh, I've got that same issue," super, come along for the ride.
Wow. That's awesome, man. That's totally awesome. So, the book is available. Is it on Amazon?
It is on Amazon. So that link I gave you goes to my little landing page, and I just ask people to put their information in there. We'll get you something special in addition to the book. So just
Awesome.
information
There it
there,
is.
just your name and email, and then click the link, and then it'll take you to Amazon. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Are you active on social media anywhere?
Yep. Facebook. Got a bucket list coach page. I've got my Circle of Life Legal. That's my law firm, Circle of Life Legal Services page.
Okay.
On Instagram, it's bucket list coach Marty Elberg. And YouTube. We've got we're working on the YouTube channel. So I can say we've had exponential growth in the last 3 months. Went from six subscribers to I think we're at 29 now. So I can call that exponential.
That's awesome.
We're growing
What
the
do you-
audience. Check me out, Marty Elberg, Circle of Life Legal, YouTube. I'm not even sure how. See, I'm not even sure how to tell you how to get there.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you type in Marty Elberg, I'll show up.
listen, I think now, where are there states that you don't practice in as far as
in Florida. I only practice law in Florida.
Oh, okay.
Only, yeah, I put my license in Iowa on hold, so I don't even have that. And we've already gone over the California one.
So you can't do estate planning or bucket list stuff.
Oh, I can do bucket list anywhere. I
Oh.
can do bucket list
Okay.
anywhere. We do group programs. Right now, I'm working with another attorney group. He's got a 500 people in his group. I've got probably 20 people going through it.
Gotcha.
About 8 show up live, and then some of them watch the replays. So that's what I'm doing right now, or opening it up for the public in a town near you soon. Not in a town,
Awesome.
on Zoom. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's all virtual and all group.
That's
No
awesome, man.
individual coaching. So yeah.
So awesome. Well, Marty, I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your story, and hopefully a bunch of people go out and get your book. And Robert Brooker is on here. Ben Gay the Third is on here. He is a legend, by the way, a legend. Like, he worked with Napoleon Hill, and
Oh, wow.
he's a legend. He's a good dude. My wife says, what a great idea. It is a wonderful service.
Thank you.
I love what you're doing. So everybody make sure you go to bucketlistcoachmarty.com/book. And I know that your website is being worked on right now, bucketlistcoachmarty.com, and then follow him everywhere on social media as well. So Marty, thank you for coming on today and sharing your wisdom, and what you got going on is pretty amazing, man. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, thank you. All right, everybody, have a great day. Go follow Marty. Go to the website list that's scrolling across the bottom of the screen and grab a copy of his book. And we will see you all later. Marty, stay with me. I'm going to end the live stream. We'll see you guys later.